standing in the ashes of my 60-acre farm at 3 in the morning, watching the last embers die. I never imagined my own daughter would be the one to destroy what little dignity I had left. The fire took everything, my home, my livestock, 40 years of memories. With nowhere else to turn, I drove to her house across town. She opened the door, looked at my soot-covered clothes, and said 5 words that broke something inside me. "You will ruin my Persian rug." Then, she slammed the door in my face. I sat in my truck outside Amanda's perfect suburban house, my hands still shaking. Rain started falling, tapping against the windshield like tiny accusations. I had $17 in my wallet, no insurance payout yet, and nowhere to go. The soot on my clothes smelled like everything I'd ever loved burning away. How did I get here? How did my own child become someone who cared more about a rug than her mother standing homeless in the rain? My mind drifted back 23 years, to a time when I still believed love could conquer anything. My neighbor, old Mrs. Patterson, had died suddenly, leaving behind her 8-year-old grandson Marcus. The boy had no one else. His parents were gone, lost to a car accident when he was 3. Mrs. Patterson had been all he had, and now she was gone too. Child services came to take him away. I watched from my porch as they loaded his small suitcase into their car. He didn't cry. He just stared at his feet, silent and hollow. My husband Tom came up beside me, his hand finding mine. We'd just buried our own son 6 months earlier. 19 years old, killed by a drunk driver on his way home from college for Thanksgiving. I homeschooled both children on the farm. Marcus was brilliant, especially with numbers. While Amanda struggled with multiplication tables, Marcus was doing algebra in his head. He devoured every book I gave him, asked questions about everything. Tom used to joke that the boy's brain never stopped working. By the time Marcus was 12, he was managing the farm's finances, helping Tom make decisions about crop rotation and equipment purchases. By 15, Head won a full scholarship to the state university. At 22, he started a technology company focused on agricultural solutions, drones that monitored crop health, apps that helped small farmers maximize yields. By 31, Marcus Bennett was a billionaire. He always called me Aunt Christie, though we had no blood connection. He sent Christmas cards with pictures of himself at conferences, at farm expos, standing beside governors and senators. He sent checks too, generous ones. I never cashed them. Too proud, Tom used to say. Maybe he was right. But Amanda, my biological daughter, she resented Marcus from the start. She'd whisper to me in the kitchen, "You love him more than me." Nothing I said could convince her otherwise. She saw how Marcus flourished, how Tom's eyes lit up when the boy talked about soil composition or irrigation systems. When Amanda turned 18, she left for college and barely looked back. She studied business, married Trevor Walsh, a real estate developer with money and connections. They built a life that looked perfect from the outside: big house, expensive cars, the right friends. But Amanda stopped visiting the farm, said it made her clothes smell like animals, said she'd outgrown that life. When Tom died 3 years ago, his heart giving out while he fixed the barn roof, Amanda came to the funeral in a black designer dress. She stayed for 2 hours, then left because Trevor had a business dinner. Marcus flew in from Singapore, stayed for a week, helped me with the animals, sat with me while I cried. I hadn't spoken to Marcus in 2 years. He'd been traveling constantly, building his empire. But I had his private number, the one Head made me promise to call if I ever needed anything. It was 4 in the morning. I stared at that number on my phone screen, rain drumming harder now. My pride said, "Don't call." My desperation said, "You have no choice." I pressed dial. He answered on the second ring. His voice was alert, concerned, not groggy with sleep. "Aunt Christie? What's wrong?" Before I could explain, before I could apologize for calling so early, he said something that sent chills down my spine. "I know about the fire. I've been waiting for your call. I'm already in the air. I'll be there in 90 minutes. The phone fell from my hands into my lap. How did he already know? I drove back to what remained of my farm as dawn painted the sky in shades of pink and gray. The fire trucks were gone, but the fire marshal's vehicle was still there, along with 2 police cars. Yellow caution tape fluttered in the morning breeze. I got out of my truck and walked toward the ruins, the house where I'd raised my children, where Tom and I had spent 40 years building a life, was now just a skeleton of blackened beams and collapsed walls. The barn was completely gone. I could see the charred remains of the chicken coop, the melted metal of the tractor in the equipment shed. My boots crunched through ash and debris as I walked to where our bedroom used to be. The morning sun caught something glinting in the rubble. I knelt down, my knees sinking into the still warm ashes, and pulled out my wedding ring. I'd taken it off last night before going to bed, left it on the dresser like I did every night. The gold was tarnished black, but it had survived. I held it in my palm and wept. Not the quiet tears I'd shed in the truck, but deep, body-shaking sobs that came from somewhere primal. Everything was gone. Everything Tom and I had built. Every memory. Every moment reduced to ash. That's when I heard the helicopter. The sound grew louder, and I looked up to see it descending toward the north pasture, the only clear area left on the property. The fire marshal and police officers emerged from their vehicles, hands shielding their eyes from the rotor wash. The helicopter touched down, and the door opened. Marcus stepped out, and my breath caught. He was 31 now, but in my mind, he was still that skinny 8-year-old boy with haunted eyes. Now he stood tall and confident, wearing dark jeans and an expensive jacket, his hair slightly longer than I remembered. He carried 2 large duffel bags and walked toward me with purpose. Behind him, 2 other people emerged from the helicopter, a man in a suit carrying a briefcase, and a woman with a medical bag. Marcus reached me and dropped the bags, pulling me into a tight embrace. I clung to him, getting soot all over his clean clothes. "I've got you," he whispered. "I've got you, Aunt Christie." He pulled back and opened the duffel bags. Inside were bottles of water, granola bars, protein shakes, a thick envelope of cash, clean clothes in my size, toiletries, even a new phone. "How did you know?" I asked, my voice hoarse from smoke and crying. "I'll explain everything," he said. "But first, you need to eat something and let Dr. Martinez check you out." The woman with the medical bag introduced herself and led me to sit on what was left of the front porch steps. She checked my vitals, looked at my eyes, listened to my lungs, minor smoke inhalation, dehydration, exhaustion. Nothing life-threatening, but you need rest, fluids, and clean air. Marcus opened a protein shake and handed it to me. "Drink this. All of it." I obeyed, too tired to argue. The fire marshal approached, a middle-aged man named Chief Henderson who'd been with the department for 25 years. I'd seen him at town meetings, church suppers. "Miss Christie," he said, his voice grave. "We've completed our preliminary investigation. I need to tell you something." Marcus stood beside me, his hand on my shoulder. "This wasn't an accident," Chief Henderson continued. "The fire started in 2 distinct locations simultaneously, the southeast corner of the house and the northwest corner of the barn. We found evidence of accelerant, gasoline. This was arson, Miss Christie. Someone deliberately burned your property." The protein shake nearly slipped from my hands. "Who would do this? Why?" Chief Henderson glanced at Marcus, then back at me. "We're investigating. But Mr. Bennett here has some information that might help." Marcus' jaw tightened. He pulled out his phone and knelt beside me. "Aunt Christie, I need to show you something. It's going to be hard to see." He opened a video file. The footage was grainy, shot from a high angle, a security camera I didn't know existed. The timestamp read 1:45 a.m., just hours ago. The video showed the farm at night, peaceful and quiet. Then 2 figures appeared, walking quickly toward the house. They were carrying containers. Even in the poor light, their movements were purposeful, practiced. They split up, one heading toward the house, one toward the barn. Marcus zoomed in on the footage. The resolution improved, and I could see faces. My blood turned to ice. One of the figures was Trevor, Amanda's husband. He was pouring liquid from a gas can along the foundation of my house. The other figure was a man I didn't recognize. Younger, with a tattoo on his neck. He was doing the same thing at the barn. "Keep watching," Marcus said softly. Trevor pulled out a lighter. So did the other man. They looked at each other, nodded. Together, they lit the fires and ran. The video showed the flames spreading rapidly, hungrily consuming everything I loved. "I installed those cameras last year when I visited for Christmas," Marcus said. "You told me you'd seen someone suspicious around the property line. I was worried about you being here alone." The footage uploads to a secure cloud server in real time. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. My son-in-law, Amanda's husband, had burned down my home. Had tried to kill me. "There's more," Marcus said, his voice tight with controlled anger. "I need to tell you why." Marcus helped me to my feet and guided me to the helicopter. Inside, it was quiet, insulated from the chaos outside. The man in the suit introduced as Richard. Marcus' attorney opened his briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. "Miss Christie," Richard began. "For the past 6 months, I've been conducting an investigation on Marcus' behalf. It started when your daughter contacted him." I looked at Marcus, confused. "Amanda contacted you?" He nodded grimly. "5 months ago, she called me, said she wanted to reconnect, that she'd been thinking about family. She invited me to dinner at her house. I went, hoping maybe she'd finally let go of her resentment." "What happened?" I asked. "It was a setup," Marcus said. "The whole dinner was a pitch for Trevor's real estate development company. They wanted me to invest, wanted me to convince you to sell the farm. When I asked why you'd sell, Amanda said you were struggling, that the property was too much for you, that you'd be happier in a small apartment in town." My hands clenched into fists. "I never said any of that." "I know," Marcus replied. "That's why I asked Richard to investigate Trevor's company." Richard flipped through papers. "Trevor Walsh Development is drowning in debt. 3 failed projects in the last 2 years. Over $4 million in losses. Has leveraged everything: mortgages, personal loans, investor money. Has facing bankruptcy, possible fraud charges from investors who claim he misrepresented property values." "What does this have to do with my farm?" I asked, though dread was already forming in my stomach. "Your 60 acres, Richard said, sits on the edge of Millbrook's expansion zone. The town council approved residential development for this area 18 months ago. Your property is worth approximately $4.2 million to developers." $4.2 million. I'd had no idea. "Trevor found a buyer," Marcus continued. "A development corporation based in Charlotte. They want to build luxury homes here. A gated community. Trevor negotiated a deal if he could deliver this property. He'd get a finder's fee of $600,000, plus a contract to manage the construction phase. That would save his company, pay off his debts, make him whole again. But I never wanted to sell," I said. "Amanda asked me twice last year. I told her no both times. This land is my life. That's the problem," Richard said. "According to your late husband's will, this property is in a life estate. You own it until your death. Then it passes to Amanda. She can't sell it while you're alive. She can't even inherit it early. The will is ironclad." The implication hit me like a physical blow. "So they decided to burn me out." Marcus' face was stone. "The plan was simple. Make it look like an electrical fire. You'd be traumatized, homeless, with no house, no infrastructure. You'd have to sell. You'd take the insurance money, your policy is only worth $200,000, and move somewhere easier. Trevor would swoop in with his buyer. Everyone gets what they want. Except me," I whispered. "Except you," Marcus agreed. "And it gets worse. We have evidence that Amanda was part of the planning." Richard pulled out printouts of text messages. I recognized Amanda's phone number. "Trevor. It needs to happen soon. Buyers getting impatient. Amanda, she'll never sell, you know that. Trevor. Then we make it impossible for her to stay. Amanda. How? Trevor. Leave that to me. But I need you on board. This solves everything. Amanda. She's my mother. Trevor. And she's standing between us and our future. What's more important?" There was a long pause in the messages, several hours. Then, "Amanda. Do what you have to do. Just make sure she's not home. Trevor. She's always home. Sleeps like the dead. She'll never know what happened until it's too late." I felt bile rising in my throat. My own daughter, my own child, she'd known. She'd agreed to this. Marcus took my hand. "I wanted to tell you earlier, but I needed proof. I hired a private investigator, pulled financial records, tracked communications. I've been waiting for them to make a move, documenting everything. When the fire started last night, my security system alerted me immediately. I was already in New York for a conference. I chartered the helicopter within 10 minutes. Why didn't you stop it? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Because we needed evidence of the crime being committed, Richard said gently. The fire department was already on their way. We knew you'd get out. And now we have everything we need to prosecute. I looked at the text messages again. Read Amanda's words. She's my mother. Followed by her choice to let it happen anyway. Something inside me shattered. Not the quick break of betrayal, but the slow, grinding collapse of every belief I'd held about my daughter. I'd given her everything, fed her, clothed her, sacrificed for her, loved her even when she pulled away, even when she made it clear the farm embarrassed her. And Shed repaid me by trying to burn me out of my home. What do I do? I asked, my voice small. Marcus squeezed my hand. That's up to you. We have enough evidence to send both Trevor and Amanda to prison. Arson. Conspiracy. Attempted insurance fraud. Trevor could get 10 to 15 years. Amanda probably 7 to 10. She's my daughter, I said, echoing Amanda's own words from the text messages. She stopped being your daughter the moment she chose this, Marcus said, his voice harder than I'd ever heard it. You taught me what family means, Aunt Christie. You and Uncle Tom showed me that family is about love, sacrifice, showing up. Amanda chose money over you. She chose a Persian rug over her mother standing homeless in the rain. His words cut because they were true. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. It was sitting in the cup holder where I'd left it. I picked it up. Amanda. My finger hovered over the decline button, but something made me answer. Mom. Her voice was high, panicked, breaking. Mom, please, you have to help me. Trevor's gone. He took all our money. I went to the bank this morning and our accounts are empty. Everything. He cleaned out the joint savings, the investment accounts, even the emergency fund. Mom, I think he's going to pin everything on me. The police called. They want to ask me questions about the fire. They asked if I knew you were trying to sell. Mom, I didn't know the fire would be that bad. I thought you'd just get scared and finally agree to sell. I thought you'd be safe. Mom, please, I'm your daughter. I need you. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, listening to her cry. The woman who'd slammed a door in my face 6 hours ago was now begging for mercy. Marcus was watching me, his expression unreadable. Where are you? I asked Amanda. Home. The police are coming. Mom, I'm scared. What do I do? I looked at Marcus, looked at the ruins of my farm through the helicopter window, looked at my wedding ring, still clutched in my other hand. Stay there, I told Amanda. Don't say anything to the police without a lawyer. I'm coming. I hung up. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Are you sure? She's still my daughter, I said. Even after everything, she's still my daughter. I need to hear her say it to my face. I need to understand how she could do this. Then I'm coming with you, Marcus said. We flew to Amanda's house in the helicopter, landing in the sprawling backyard of her mansion. Police cars were already in the driveway. The coffee shop was Amanda's suggestion. Neutral ground, Shed said. Somewhere we can talk without the police watching. Detective Morrison had agreed to give us 2 hours before he formally questioned Amanda. He was a decent man, someone who understood that family betrayal required more than just handcuffs and Miranda rights. Marcus drove me in his rental car, a simple sedan that didn't draw attention. Amanda was already there when we arrived, sitting at a corner table far from the windows. I barely recognized her. The woman who'd answered her door in silk pajamas, worried about her Persian rug, was gone. This Amanda wore faded jeans and a sweatshirt I recognized from high school. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. No makeup, eyes swollen and red. She looked younger, more like the girl I'd raised, and somehow that made everything worse. She stood when she saw me, then froze when Marcus appeared behind me. Marcus, she whispered. He said nothing, just pulled out a chair for me and sat down beside me. A united front. Amanda sank back into her seat. A cold cup of coffee sat untouched in front of her. Thank you for coming, she said to me. Then to Marcus. I didn't think you'd come. I'm here for Aunt Christie, he said flatly. Not for you. Amanda flinched but nodded. She looked at me, and fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. Mom, I'm so sorry. I know that doesn't mean anything. I know sorry doesn't fix what I did. But I need you to know I never wanted anyone hurt. I never wanted this. Then what did you want? I asked, keeping my voice steady. She wrapped her hands around the cold coffee cup. Everything was falling apart. Trevor's company was failing. We'd mortgaged the house twice. My car got repossessed last month. I've been borrowing Trevor's. We were drowning in debt, and I couldn't tell anyone because everyone thought we were successful. Everyone thought we'd made it, So you decided to burn down my home, I said. No. I mean, yes, but it wasn't supposed to be like that. She was talking fast now, words tumbling out. Trevor said he had a plan to convince you to sell. He said he'd make you an offer you couldn't refuse. That he'd find you a nice condo in town. That you'd be happier not dealing with the farm anymore. I believed him. I wanted to believe him. When did you know about the fire? Marcus asked. Amanda's face crumpled. 3 days before. He told me then. Said he'd hired someone to make it look like an electrical problem. Said you'd be fine because you always went to Janet's house on Wednesday nights for book club. I stopped going to book club 6 months ago, I said quietly. Janet moved to Florida to be near her grandchildren. Amanda's face went white. Trevor said he'd been watching your schedule. He said he knew you wouldn't be home. He lied, Marcus said. He knew she'd be home. He didn't care. Amanda covered her face with her hands. I should have known. I should have stopped it. But I was so desperate. Do you know what it's like to pretend everything's fine when your whole life is collapsing? To smile at country club lunches when you can barely afford groceries? To lie to your friends about vacations you can't take, clothes you can't buy? No, I said. I don't know what that's like, because I never pretended to be something I wasn't. Your father and I struggled every year to keep the farm running, and we never once pretended otherwise. We were proud of what we built, even when it was hard. You were proud of your poverty. Amanda shot back, then immediately looked horrified. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. But she did. I could see it in her eyes. The shame she'd always felt about where she came from. About the mother who smelled like chickens, and the father who wore work boots to parent-teacher conferences. Why did you hate us so much? I asked. What did we do that was so terrible? Amanda was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was small. You loved Marcus more. That's not true, I started to say. But she cut me off. It is true, Mom. Maybe you didn't see it, but I did. When Marcus came home with Az, Dad would take him out for ice cream. When I came home with Az, Dad would say, "Good job," and go back to work. When Marcus asked questions about farming or science or history, you'd both light up and talk for hours. When I talked about wanting to be a fashion designer, or marry rich, or live in a big city, you'd both get quiet and change the subject. Because those weren't your dreams, I said gently. They were things you said to hurt us. Maybe at first, Amanda admitted. But then they became real. I wanted to be different from you. I wanted to prove I was better than a farm girl from nowhere. I wanted people to look at me and see success, not someone who'd barely escaped rural poverty. We were never poor, I said. We were never rich, Amanda countered. Not like Trevor's family. Not like the families of the girls I went to college with. Do you know what it's like to be the scholarship kid? To have people assume you're only there because of affirmative action or pity? Marcus leaned forward. I do, actually. I was the orphan charity case that your parents took in. Remember? I know exactly what it's like to feel like you don't belong. Amanda looked at him. Really looked at him. But you made something of yourself. You became successful on your own. I just married success and pretended it was mine. You could have made your own success, Marcus said. You had the same opportunities I did. You had parents who loved you, supported you, would have helped you with anything you wanted to do. You chose to resent them instead. I know, Amanda whispered. I know that now. My phone buzzed. A text from Chief Henderson. Fire investigator found the accelerant cans in the woods. Fingerprints confirmed. Need to talk to Amanda as soon as possible. I showed the text to Marcus. He nodded. Amanda, I said. The police have evidence. They know Trevor set the fire. They have his fingerprints on the gas cans. They have text messages between you two planning this. They know you were involved. She nodded, tears streaming. I know, Detective Morrison told me this morning. He said I could cooperate or face full charges. Mom, Trevor's gone. He took everything. Our accounts, his emergency cash, even the jewelry he bought me. He left his wedding ring on the kitchen counter with a note that said, "Sorry, babe. Better this way." Hez left me to take the fall for everything. Where did he go? Marcus asked. I don't know. Mexico, maybe? He has connections there, business partners. He always said if things went bad, he'd disappear to Cabo. Marcus pulled out his phone and made a call. Richard? I need you to check something. Trevor Walsh. I can give you another hour, but then I need her at the station. Understood, I said. Well, be there. I hung up and looked at my daughter. She was 38 years old, but in that moment, she looked like a scared child. What do I do, Mom? She asked. I thought about all the times I'd answered that question. When she was 5 and fell off her bike. When she was 13 and her best friend moved away. When she was 17 and didn't get into her first choice college. Every time, it had an answer, a solution, a way to make it better. Not this time. You face what you've done, I said. You tell Detective Morrison everything. You testify against Trevor. You accept responsibility for your choices. He'll go to prison, she said. Probably. I agreed. But maybe, if you cooperate, if you show genuine remorse, if you help them catch Trevor, maybe you'll get a reduced sentence. Maybe you'll get a second chance. Do you hate me? She asked, her voice breaking. I looked at my daughter. The baby Eid nursed. The toddler Eid taught to walk. The girl Eid raised through scraped knees and broken hearts and teenage rebellion. The woman who'd just tried to destroy me. No, I said honestly. I don't hate you. I'm heartbroken. I'm disappointed. I'm angry. But I don't hate you. You're still my daughter. She sobbed openly now, shoulders shaking. I don't deserve your forgiveness. You don't, Marcus said quietly. But that's the thing about real family. They love you anyway. They show up anyway. Something you never learned. Amanda looked at him. I'm sorry. For how I treated you. For how I made you feel. You were the better child. You always were. Marcus didn't respond to that. Instead, he stood. We should go. Detective Morrison is waiting. Amanda reached for my hand. Will you come with me? To the police station? I know I don't deserve it. But will you please come? Against Marcus' advice, against my own better judgment, I nodded. I'll come. We were halfway to the car when Marcus' phone rang. He answered, listened, and his face went rigid. When? How many? Is anyone hurt? He listened more. We're 20 minutes away. Tell them not to do anything stupid. We're coming. He hung up and looked at us. Trevor's at that motel, but he's not alone. The man he hired to set the fire showed up an hour ago. They're arguing. My investigator heard shouting, heard threats. The man has a gun. Amanda gasped. We have to call the police. They're already on their way, Marcus said. But Aunt Christie, you should stay away from this. But I was already moving toward the car. Because as angry as I was, as betrayed as I felt, Trevor was still my son-in-law. And the man with the gun was there because of my farm, my life, my loss. Somehow, impossibly, this had become my responsibility to end. We drove toward the motel, and I had no idea what we'd find when we got there. The Sunset Motel on Route 72 was the kind of place people went when they didn't want to be found. 2 stories of peeling paint, flickering neon, rooms that rented by the hour. Police cars were already surrounding it when we arrived, lights flashing but sirens silent. Detective Morrison met us at the perimeter. Miss Christie, you shouldn't be here. That's my son-in-law in there, I said. And this whole situation exists because of me. I'm staying. He looked like he wanted to argue, but recognized the futility. Room 114, second floor. Trevor Walsh and a man named Derek Walsh, no relation, are inside. Derek's the one who set your fire. Hez got a gun, and he's angry. Apparently, Trevor promised him $50,000 for the job, but only paid $5,000. Derek just made bail this morning on an unrelated charge and came here looking for his money. Is anyone hurt? Amanda asked, her voice shaking. Not yet, Detective Morrison said. But Derek's unstable. His daughter's sick, needs expensive treatment. Hez desperate. Those are the dangerous ones. Through the window of room 114, we could see shadows moving. Voices carried in the early morning air, angry and sharp. You promised me! That was Derek, his voice raw with desperation. My little girl is dying and you gave me pocket change. I gave you what I had. Trevor's voice. Higher pitched. Scared. The rest of the money's coming. I just need more time. You don't have more time. I don't have more time. Kayla needs surgery next week and I don't have the money because you lied to me. A gunshot split the air. Everyone ducked. When we looked up, we could see that Derek had fired into the ceiling. Warning shot. Next one's not a warning, Derek shouted. SWAT was setting up, preparing for breach protocol. Amanda was crying, clinging to my arm. Marcus was on his phone, talking rapidly to someone. I watched the window of that motel room, and something inside me shifted. This wasn't just about my farm anymore. This was about a desperate father trying to save his daughter. This was about Trevor's lies destroying another family the same way Head tried to destroy mine. "I'm going in," I said. Everyone turned to look at me. "Miss Christie." "Absolutely not," Detective Morrison said. "That man has a gun, and he's unpredictable. Has a father trying to save his child." I corrected. "I'm a mother who just lost everything because of the man he's holding at gunpoint. Maybe he'll listen to me." "Mom, no," Amanda said. "This is crazy. You could get killed." I looked at her. Yesterday I had a home, a farm, a life. Today I have ashes and betrayal. What exactly do I have left to lose? Before anyone could stop me, I walked toward the stairs leading to room 114. I heard Marcus calling my name, heard Detective Morrison ordering me to stop, but I kept walking. I climbed the stairs slowly, hands visible, no weapons. I could see the SWAT team tracking me with their rifles, ready to shoot if Derek appeared in the doorway. I knocked on the door. "Derek, my name is Christie. You burned down my farm last night. I'd like to talk to you." Silence. Then, "Go away, lady. This doesn't concern you." "Actually, it concerns me quite a bit. See, that was my home you burned. That was 40 years of my life in those ashes. So I figure I've earned the right to at least meet you face to face." More silence. I could hear Trevor's voice inside, pleading, but couldn't make out the words. "I know about your daughter," I continued. "I know she's sick. I know you needed the money for her treatment. I'm a mother, too. I understand what you'd do for your child." The door cracked open 6 inches. A gun barrel appeared first, then a face. Derek Walsh was maybe 35, with tired eyes and 3 days of stubble. He looked exhausted, desperate, and dangerous. "You gonna shoot me?" I asked calmly. "I don't want to hurt nobody," he said. "I just want what Im owed." "What my little girl's owed?" "Then let me come in. Let's talk about this. Because shooting Trevor won't get your daughter the help she needs. It'll just put you in prison, and then who takes care of Kayla?" His face crumpled at his daughter's name. The gun lowered slightly. "You know her name." "I know a lot," I said. "I know you're not a bad man. You made a bad choice because you were desperate. I understand that. Let me in, and let's figure this out together." He stared at me for a long moment, then stepped back. The door opened fully. I walked into the motel room. Trevor was in the corner, pale and trembling. The room smelled like cigarettes and fear. Derek closed the door behind me but didn't lock it. "Why are you here?" Derek asked. "Why would you want to help me? I burned your house down." "You did." I agreed. "But you did it because this man lied to you." I pointed at Trevor. "He told you my house was empty, didn't he? He told you it was just a building, that no one would get hurt." Derek nodded slowly. "He said you were gone for the week, visiting family. He showed me pictures of the empty driveway. Said you'd already left." I looked at Trevor. "You took pictures of my driveway." Trevor couldn't meet my eyes. "I needed proof the job was done. You needed to make sure I was home when it burned." I finished. "You needed me scared enough, traumatized enough, that I'd have no choice but to sell." "I didn't want anyone hurt," Trevor said weakly. "Liar," Derek spat. "You didn't care who got hurt as long as you got your money. Just like you didn't care about my daughter when you only gave me 5,000 of the 50 you promised." I turned back to Derek. "How old is Kayla?" 7, he said, and his voice broke. "She's 7 years old and she's fighting leukemia. The treatment's experimental, not covered by insurance. It costs 200,000. I've been working 3 jobs, but it's not enough. When Trevor offered me this job, said it was easy money and no one would know, I jumped at it. I had to. I can't lose my little girl." His gun hand was shaking now. I took a careful step closer. "Derek, look at me. Shooting Trevor won't save Kayla. It won't get you the money. All it will do is make her lose her father on top of everything else. You don't want that." "I don't know what else to do," he whispered. "I'm out of options." "You're not," I said. "There's someone downstairs who can help. Someone who has the resources to save your daughter." "Who? The cops? They're just gonna arrest me." "Not the cops. A man named Marcus Bennett. He's a billionaire who specializes in agricultural technology. But more importantly, Hez someone who understands what it means to be desperate and alone. Hez someone who was saved by kindness when he had nothing. And I promise you, if you put down that gun right now and surrender peacefully, he will pay for Kayla's treatment. Every single penny. Derek laughed bitterly. Why would some rich guy help me? Nobody. Because asking him to. I said simply. And because it's the right thing to do. Your daughter shouldn't die because you made one terrible mistake. And you shouldn't spend the rest of your life in prison for it. Put down the gun, Derek. Let's end this before anyone else gets hurt. He looked at the gun in his hand. Looked at Trevor cowering in the corner. Looked at me. This old woman who should hate him but was instead offering him grace. How do I know you're telling the truth? He asked. I pulled out my phone. Call him yourself. I dialed Marcus' number and put it on speaker. He answered immediately. Aunt Christie. Marcus. I'm here with Derek Walsh. Hez the man who set the fire. He did it because his 7-year-old daughter Kayla has leukemia and needs treatment that costs $200,000. Trevor promised him $50,000 but only paid $5,000. Derek has a gun. And he's deciding right now whether to throw his life away or surrender peacefully. I told him if he puts down the gun and cooperates with police, you'll pay for his daughter's treatment. Will you? There was no hesitation. Yes. Derek, if you can hear me, I give you my word. Surrender now, and I'll have my foundation arrange payment for Kayla's treatment immediately. I'll also make sure you have the best criminal defense attorney in the state. You're looking at arson charges. But with cooperation and a good lawyer, we can work toward a reduced sentence. Your daughter needs you alive and free. Put down the gun. Derek was crying now, tears streaming down his face. The gun wavered. I'm sorry, he sobbed. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to save my baby. I know, I said gently. I know, but this is how you save her. Put down the gun, Derek. He did. He set it on the floor and kicked it toward me. I picked it up carefully, keeping it pointed away from everyone, and walked to the door. I opened it and called out. Hez surrendering. We're coming out. No one's hurt. Police flooded in within seconds. They put Derek in handcuffs, but he went peacefully, still crying. As they led him past me, he looked back. Thank you, he whispered. Tell Mr. Bennett, thank you. Tell him yourself when you get out, I said. They arrested Trevor too. He tried to protest, tried to claim he was the victim here. But no one was listening. Amanda watched from below as they led her husband away in handcuffs. Her face was unreadable. I walked down the stairs on shaky legs. Marcus was there to catch me when I stumbled. That was the bravest and stupidest thing you've ever done, he said. I learned it from you, I replied. Taking in strays who need saving. Detective Morrison approached. Miss Christie, that was incredibly reckless. Did it work? I asked. He sighed. Yes, but don't ever do anything like that again. Amanda walked up slowly. She looked at me, then at the police cars where Trevor sat in handcuffs. He never loved me, she said quietly. Did he? I don't know. I answered honestly. But I do know he used you, and you let him. She nodded. I need to go to the police station. I need to tell them everything. Will you still come with me? I looked at Marcus. He shook his head slightly but didn't argue. I'll come, I said. But Amanda, understand something. I love you. I will always love you. But love doesn't mean protecting you from the consequences of your choices. You're going to face what you've done. And if you're truly sorry, you'll accept that and find a way to be better. I will, she promised. I'll spend the rest of my life being better. We drove to the police station together. Amanda told Detective Morrison everything, every conversation with Trevor, every text message, every moment she knew about the plan, and didn't stop it. She signed a statement agreeing to testify against Trevor in exchange for a reduced charge. The prosecutor was frank. She'd still face prison time. Probably 3 to 5 years with good behavior and cooperation. Amanda accepted it. I deserve it, she said. As they led her away to be processed, she looked back at me one last time. Mom? Do you think you'll ever be able to forgive me? I thought about Tom, about the farm, about 40 years of memories turned to ash. I thought about the door slammed in my face, and the Persian rug that mattered more than her mother. But I also thought about the broken woman who'd confessed her mistakes, who was choosing to face consequences, who was finally taking responsibility. Ask me again when you get out. I said. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was a door left open. And sometimes, that's all second chances need to grow. 6 months passed like water through cupped hands. I moved into the farm Marcus had bought and named after me and Tom. It was smaller than what Eid lost, only 20 acres, but it was beautiful. Rolling hills, a creek that ran clear year-round, a cozy farmhouse with big windows that let in morning light. Marcus had kept the property maintained but empty, waiting for the day I might need it. That day had come. I bought chickens first. 12 hens and a rooster who crowed every morning at 5:30. Then I planted a vegetable garden, tomatoes, peppers, squash, green beans. My hands remembered the work even when my heart was still healing. The legal proceedings moved forward like slow machinery. Trevor's trial came first. With Derek's testimony, Amanda's testimony, and Marcus' evidence, the case was airtight. Trevor was sentenced to 12 years for arson, fraud, conspiracy, and endangering life. He never apologized, never showed remorse, just sat in court with his lawyer and glared at everyone who testified against him. Derek's case was different. With Marcus paying for his legal defense, his lawyer negotiated a plea deal. Derek was sentenced to 3 years with work release, allowing him to continue caring for Kayla during her treatment. Marcus Foundation paid for every medical expense, surgery, chemotherapy, follow-up care. The little girl was in remission now, her prognosis good. Derek wrote me letters every month from prison. Apologies. Updates on Kayla. Reflections on his choices. I wrote back. Not because I'd forgiven him completely, but because I understood what desperation could make a parent do. Amanda's sentencing came in month 4. With her cooperation, guilty plea, and genuine remorse, she received 5 years with possibility of parole in 3. The judge had been stern. You betrayed not just your mother, but the fundamental bonds of family trust. Prison will give you time to reflect on who you want to be when you emerge. Amanda had stood there, hands cuffed, and said, "Thank you, Your Honor. I deserve much worse." I visited her every 2 weeks at the Women's Correctional Facility 3 counties over. The first few visits were awkward, painful. Amanda would cry. I would sit there, not knowing what to say. But slowly, visit by visit, we started talking. Really talking. She told me about growing up feeling second best. I told her about the grief Tom and I carried after losing our son, how we'd thrown ourselves into loving both her and Marcus because we couldn't bear more loss. She talked about the pressure she'd felt to be perfect. I talked about the guilt I'd carried, wondering if I'd done enough, loved enough, been enough. We were excavating years of misunderstanding, resentment, and unspoken pain. It was exhausting. It was necessary. Marcus came to the farm often. He brought his girlfriend Sarah, a veterinarian head met at an agricultural conference. She was kind, practical, easy to laugh. She taught me new techniques for chicken keeping and fell in love with my rooster, who she named Napoleon for his attitude. I want to ask her to marry me. Marcus told me one evening as we sat on the porch watching the sun set. Good, I said. She's perfect for you. Will you walk me down the aisle? He asked. Since I don't have a mother. I took his hand. You do have a mother. Maybe not by blood, but in every way that matters. And yes, I'll walk you down that aisle. I'd be honored. He leaned his head on my shoulder. This powerful billionaire who still sometimes needed the comfort of the woman who'd raised him. Thank you for showing me what real family looks like, Aunt Christie. You saved my life. You saved mine right back, I said. In month 6, I started a non-profit organization. Second Chances Farm, I called it. The mission was simple. Help struggling families learn sustainable farming techniques, provide resources for those facing financial hardship, create pathways for people who'd made mistakes to rebuild their lives. Derek's family was my first client. His wife Maureen started coming to the farm twice a week, learning to raise chickens and grow vegetables to supplement their income. Kayla came too sometimes, when she felt strong enough. She was a bright, cheerful 7-year-old who loved feeding the chickens and collecting eggs. You're the lady who saved my daddy, she told me one afternoon. Her small hand in mine. Your daddy saved himself, I corrected gently. He made good choices when it mattered most. Other families came. Single mothers trying to feed their kids on tight budgets, veterans struggling to adjust to civilian life, teenagers from broken homes who needed to learn that hard work had value and purpose. Marcus funded everything through his foundation. He never wanted credit, never wanted publicity. Just wanted to help. "This is what Uncle Tom would have wanted," he said when I thanked him. The farm being used to help people. 3 years passed faster than I expected. Amanda's parole hearing approached. Detective Morrison called me the week before. "Miss Christie, you know you'll be asked to speak at the hearing. What are you planning to say?" "I don't know yet," I admitted. "She's your daughter. I understand that, but she committed serious crimes." "She did," I agreed, "but she's also spent 3 years facing what she did, working to be better. Doesn't that count for something?" "That's up to the parole board," he said. "And you?" I thought about it for days. What did justice look like here? What did mercy look like? The parole hearing was held in a small room at the correctional facility. Amanda was brought in wearing prison-issued clothes, her hair shorter than I'd ever seen it. She'd lost weight, looked older but somehow more at peace. The prosecutor argued against parole. Amanda Walsh showed callous disregard for her mother's life, participated in a violent felony, and only cooperated after getting caught. She hasn't served enough time. Then it was time for character witnesses. Marcus stood first. Everyone in the room seemed surprised. 3 years ago, I would have said Amanda Walsh deserves every day of her sentence and more. She tried to destroy the woman who saved my life, but I've watched her over these 3 years. I've read her letters. I've seen her face what she did and work to become someone better. Aunt Christie taught me that people can change if you give them the chance. I think Amanda's earned that chance. Then I stood. Amanda is my daughter. She hurt me in ways I didn't think possible. But she's also spent 3 years in therapy, facing her choices, and working to understand why she made them. She's written hundreds of letters apologizing not just to me, but to Derek's family, to the community, to everyone affected by what she did. She's taught GED classes to other inmates. She's started a support group for women dealing with shame and regret. She's become someone I'm starting to recognize again, someone who might finally understand what family really means. I paused. I'm not saying she shouldn't be punished. She should. She has been. But I am saying that punishment without the possibility of redemption is just cruelty. And I didn't raise her to be cruel. So I'm asking you to give her the chance to prove she's learned. Give her parole. Let her show you she's worth it. Amanda was crying silently, shoulders shaking. The parole board deliberated for 2 hours. When they returned, the chairwoman spoke. "Amanda Walsh, this board has decided to grant your parole. You'll be released next week with strict conditions. You'll continue therapy, perform 500 hours of community service, and pay restitution from any future earnings. You'll report to a parole officer weekly, any violation, and you'll return to serve the remainder of your sentence. Do you understand?" "Yes, ma'am," Amanda whispered. "Thank you. Thank you so much." Release day came on a Thursday morning in spring. I picked Amanda up at 7 a.m. She walked out carrying a single bag of belongings, blinking in the bright sunlight. She got in my truck and just sat there for a moment, breathing in freedom. "Where do I go now?" she asked. "Home," I said. "I don't have a home. The house was foreclosed. Trevor's debts took everything." I started the truck. "That's not true. You have a home. With me, if you want it." She stared at me. "After everything? You'd let me live with you. With conditions," I said. "You work. You help with the farm, with the nonprofit. You continue therapy. You prove every day that you meant what you said in there about changing." "I will," she promised. "Mom, I will. I promise." We drove to the farm in silence. When we pulled up, Amanda gasped. Marcus' car was there. So were Derek's family's vehicle. So were cars belonging to some of the other families from Second Chance's farm. Everyone was standing in the yard. When Amanda got out of the truck, they applauded. Marcus stepped forward and extended his hand. "Welcome home, Amanda." She took it, crying again. "Thank you. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank Aunt Christie," he said. "She's the one who taught me about second chances." Derek's wife Maureen came forward next with Kayla. "This is the lady whose farm my husband burned," Maureen said to her daughter. "And this is her daughter, who's coming home." Kayla, now 10 and healthy, looked at Amanda. Then she did something no one expected. She hugged her. "Welcome home," the little girl said. "My daddy says everyone deserves a second chance." Amanda knelt down and hugged her back, sobbing openly now. That night, after everyone left, Amanda and I sat on the porch with mugs of tea, watching the stars come out. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. "Then don't," I replied. "Just be the person you're capable of being. That's all the thanks I need. Can I ask you something?" She hesitated. "Do you forgive me?" I thought about it honestly. I'm working on it. Forgiveness isn't something that happens all at once. It's something you choose every day. Every time I see you doing the work, being better, facing what you did with courage, instead of excuses, it gets easier. So ask me again in a year. And then the year after that, and eventually, I think the answer will be yes. "I can live with that," she said. We sat in comfortable silence, mother and daughter, broken and healing, learning what it meant to build something better from ashes. 1 year later, on a warm Saturday in May, the farm was full of life in a way Tom would have loved. Marcus and Sarah got married in the north pasture, beneath an arbor Marcus had built with his own hands, using wood from the old farm before it was cleared. When Marcus and Sarah exchanged vows, he included a line that made me cry. "Thank you for teaching me that family is built, not born. That love is a choice we make every day." At the reception, Amanda pulled me aside. "Can we talk?" We walked to the creek that ran through the property. Shed spent hours there over the past year, thinking, reflecting, healing. "I've been offered a job," she said. "Director of Family Services at a nonprofit in the city. It's counseling work, helping families in crisis. The pay's not great, but it's meaningful." "That's wonderful," I said, genuinely happy. "It means I'd have to move out, get my own apartment." "I know I said I'd stay and help with the farm, Amanda," I interrupted. "This is what we've been working toward. You rebuilding your life. I'm proud of you." She smiled, tears in her eyes. "Really? Really? You've become someone I'm proud to call my daughter again. So you forgive me?" she asked quietly. I thought about the past 4 years. The fire, the betrayal, the hard work of rebuilding trust. I thought about the woman standing beside me now, humble, hard-working, committed to being better. "Yes," I said. "I forgive you." She hugged me tight. "I don't deserve it. Nobody deserves grace," I said. "That's what makes it grace." We stood there by the water, mother and daughter, finally at peace. The next few months brought more changes. Derek's daughter Kayla remained cancer-free. Derek himself had become a contractor specializing in barn construction, using skills Head learned from the program. Head paid back every penny Marcus had spent on Kayla's treatment, though Marcus had repeatedly said it wasn't necessary. "A man pays his debts," Derek insisted. "You gave my daughter her life back." The 20 acres was manageable in a way the 60 never had been. Second Chance's farm served over 50 families in its first 2 years. We expanded to include workshops on financial literacy, mental health resources, addiction recovery support. People called me a hero. I disagreed. I was just a woman who'd lost everything and found something better in the ashes. I was just a mother who'd chosen to love her daughter through the unforgivable. I was just a person who believed that people could change if you gave them the space and support to do so. On Thanksgiving, I hosted everyone at the farm. Marcus and Sarah, now pregnant with their first child. Amanda and her new boyfriend, a social worker Shed, met through her job. Derek's family. Maureen brought her famous apple pie. Kayla helped me set the table, chattering about school and friends, and all the normal things 10-year-olds talked about. As we sat down to eat, I looked around the table at this unlikely family we'd built, not from blood or obligation, but from choice, from showing up, from giving second chances and third chances and as many chances as it took for love to take root. "I want to say something," I announced. Everyone quieted. 4 years ago, I lost my farm. I lost my home. I lost everything Tom and I had built together. I thought that was the end of my story. I looked at Marcus, but this young man reminded me that endings can be beginnings. That loss can make room for something new. I looked at Amanda. My daughter taught me that people can change, that you can break something precious and still find a way to make it whole again, even if the shape is different. I looked at Derek and Maureen. This family showed me that desperation makes people do terrible things, but courage and accountability can redeem almost anything. I looked at all of them. The farm that burned was just a place, just wood and land and memories. But this, what we've built here, this is so much more. This is family built on truth instead of ashes, on love instead of obligation, on who people choose to become, not who they were. I raised my glass. Tom used to say that the best fertilizer is manure. You take something that's waste and turn it into something that helps things grow. We've all had our share of manure these past few years. But look what we've grown. Everyone raised their glasses. To second chances, Marcus said. To family, Amanda added. To choosing each other, Sarah contributed. To growing something beautiful from broken things, Derek finished. We drank, and then we ate, and the conversation flowed around the table like water around stones naturally, easily, washing away the rough edges until only smooth acceptance remained. After dinner, as the sun set in brilliant oranges and purples, Amanda found me alone on the porch. Mom, she said, I need to tell you something. I braced myself, old fears rising. She smiled. Nothing bad. I just wanted you to know that I'm writing a book. About what happened. About my mistakes, the consequences, the process of becoming better. My therapist thinks it might help other people who are struggling. What will you call it? I asked. I don't know yet. But I know how it ends. How? With my mother sitting on a porch, surrounded by people she's helped save, in a home built from loss, teaching the world that forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing to believe that tomorrow can be better than yesterday. I took her hand. That sounds like a good ending. It's not an ending, she corrected. It's a beginning. She was right, of course. Everything that had burned, everything we'd lost, everything that had broken it had all been preparation for this. For a life built not on what we inherited or what we owned, but on who we chose to be when everything fell apart. The farm may have burned to ashes. My family may have betrayed me. But from that destruction grew something no fire could ever touch. A family built on grace. A home constructed from forgiveness. A legacy of second chances that would outlive us all. They say you can't go home again. Maybe that's true. But you can build a new one. And sometimes, if you're very lucky and very brave, the new home is better than what you lost. Because it's built on truth instead of pretense. On love instead of obligation. On who people choose to become, not who they were born to be. That night, after everyone left and the dishes were done, I sat alone on the porch with a cup of tea and watched the stars emerge. Tom's wedding ring hung on a chain around my neck, tarnished but whole, a reminder that some things survive even fire. I thought about everything we'd been through. The pain, the betrayal, the long road to healing. I thought about Amanda, finally at peace with herself. About Marcus, building his own family while honoring the one that saved him. About Derek, working every day to be worthy of the second chance he'd been given. And I realized something profound. The fire hadn't destroyed my farm. It had refined it, burned away everything temporary, everything that could be taken, everything that was just wood and nails and mortar. What remained was what had always mattered. Love, forgiveness, the choice to show up, to keep trying, to believe in redemption, even when it seemed impossible. That's the only kind of home worth having. The kind that can't burn. The kind built in hearts instead of on land. The kind that says, you belong here, not because you're perfect, but because you're trying. Because you showed up. Because love, real love, doesn't give up on people. I finished my tea and went inside. Tomorrow, I'd wake at dawn and feed the chickens. Amanda would call during her lunch break. Marcus would stop by after work with pictures of the ultrasound. Derek's family would drop off eggs and vegetables. Tomorrow would be ordinary and beautiful and exactly what I needed it to be. Because I'd learned what Tom knew all along. The farm was never the point. The point was what we grew there. And what we grew was always each other. Before I share my closing thoughts, I want to ask you something. Have you ever had to choose between justice and mercy? Have you faced betrayal from someone you loved and had to decide whether forgiveness was even possible? What would you do if your own family hurt you in unforgivable ways? Would you choose revenge or redemption? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, please consider hitting that like button. It helps share this message of hope and second chances with others who might need to hear it. And if you'd like more stories about real struggles, real pain, and real redemption, please subscribe to our channel. We're building a community here of people who believe that everyone deserves a chance to become better than their worst mistakes. Share this story with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to rebuild. Never too late to forgive. Never too late to become the person you were always meant to be. Sometimes the people we help save end up saving us right back. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for believing that broken things can be made beautiful again. May you find the courage to forgive when forgiveness seems impossible. May you build homes in hearts instead of just in places. And may you always remember that what we grow in love lasts longer than anything we build with our hands. Until next time, take care of each other. Choose kindness. Choose courage. Choose to believe in second chances. Because sometimes, the best thing that can happen to us is losing everything we thought mattered, so we can discover what truly does.